My story begins actually in Germany. I was born into a military family. My mom and dad were both in the Army. And while that marriage didn't last, it fell apart pretty quickly. My mom became a professional single mom after a couple years. We moved back to the States. And a few years later, she met a wonderful man who I call my father. Stepfather was the one who embraced us and loved us and nurtured us and provided for our family. He was a wonderful, wonderful Christian man. When I was 14, my older sister decided to go and live with our biological father, which really confused me. And he was an alcoholic, he was abusive, and didn't understand what was going on. She was my closest friend, my confidant, and I was pretty crushed by that. So went into depression, stopped going to church and youth group, eventually dropped out of high school, started hanging out with people that would just accept me for the crazy person I had turned into be, started drinking, started using drugs, and just after I turned 15, I actually left home and spent the next almost 25 years just traveling around the country, being homeless, vagabond, living wherever, picking up a little job here and there, using heavily, drinking heavily. It was pretty dark, couple decades. There was a brief moment there where I sobered up long enough, and I met a woman, and we had a child, and I had shortly after started drinking again, and wasn't able to hide it. Lost my job, got evicted, and they also evicted me from their lives. And so there I was on the road again, and I fell pretty hard. It kind of flashed forward a few years, and I'm in Petaluma, California, living in the field behind my sort of boss. I was a janitor at a pool hall. It wasn't a real job, but I was living behind his house in the field in the tent, and I had heard that people thought I was dead, that I had overdosed, and I was fine with that. I was like, well, let's just do that. I was done. I was like, I don't want this anymore. So my plan was to just go on a binge and, use a bunch of drugs and just fade into nothing. Within a week of me making that decision, my sister found me. I hadn't talked to my family in 20 years. And she found me and she said that our father was just diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer out here in North Carolina. And if I wanted to have a chance to make things right before he was gone, I should get my butt out there. And by what I now recognize as the grace of God and his strength, I was able to stand up, walk away from that addiction, just 180. And he carried me all the way out safely to North Carolina in 3 days. Took an Amtrak train, and as soon as I stepped foot on the front porch, it was just like nothing had happened. They welcomed me back, no questions asked, and I spent the next couple days with my father, just getting a crash course on how to be an adult, how to be loving, how to take care of people, and he was so selfless in those last few days of his life, and he passed. And I realized I needed to get my life in order before my time was done. I had no longer thinking about overdosing and killing myself. I was like, I needed a new trajectory. And did a little research with my mom. We founded her in Rescue Mission. We found the Victory Program. And on my 40th birthday, I walked in the door and signed up, checked in, started the Victory Program. Instantly, I was forgiven, just like my mom and dad did, And so it was amazing, and that started a new arc in my life. And as the time went on, the hunger and thirst grew deeper, and the Victory Program was there to show me, how to get that foundation strengthened, and how to create a toolbox of defenses with Scripture to combat feelings of depression, anxiety, temptations to fall back and use. It was hard. There's lots of hard. There's a lot of temptations. There's a lot of tricky choices to navigate. But the Victory Program really also showed me the proper way to navigate those problems and to be thankful for them once you come out the other side. Can't forget about family. Of course, like I said, they welcomed me back with open arms. The one person I haven't mentioned, though, is my daughter, Anastasia. For Christmas this past year, the best gift I got was her forgiveness. So that was huge. And it's been an amazing road. God brought me out of the darkness and taught me a lot of lessons through there I didn't realize at the time that I'm able to now turn around and share with other men. If I saw someone hurting, in pain, struggling with whatever it is in life that's bringing them down, I'd just first sit down and just listen. And listen to let them talk and listen and just absorb what's going on. And then inevitably the answer to whatever they're dealing with would be God. And in a great way to find God and His purpose for your life is the Durham Rescue Mission with their Victory program. It's changed my life. It's changed countless men and women's life around me over the years, and I pray it continues to do so well into the future.